Hey folks, Kozzi here for Pick One Pack One, and thank you for choosing to continue with me through this playthrough of Jekk's Bounty. We are now up to our last video, punching through strong. And this particular chapter is Waking Nightmares, not Walking Nightmares as I first thought. In this line of work you earn your share of nightmares. Sometimes you can chase them off with a stiff drink or a soft touch. And sometimes you just got to shoot the filthy things between the eyes. The nightmares will call upon the victims of your past. So I know of Waking Nightmare as a card. Comes in, attacks you really fast. You need to deal with it in the air pretty quickly, otherwise you're dead. I wonder what that can mean. Perhaps they're bringing in the cards from the previous sets that I've defeated so far. I don't know. What do we want to try out? Well, if it's got Waking Nightmare, I want to play something that has Torch. And ideally Flyers. So let's just run it with this Warcry deck that I've been running for a bit. It's also the one I feel most comfortable with. Perfectly keepable hand. Doesn't have the torch that I was hoping for, but it's got a proactive. I shouldn't have been talking, I missed what that was saying entirely. Some kind of menacing sentence, I imagine. Okay, so this looks like a Feln Reanimate deck of some description. I'm going to have perfect power anyway. And we'll go for the creature that has the higher upside if I can get the hammer onto it. They just wanted to be free. Okay, so we're... Are these literally all of the creatures that I've played in the past? This is as good as time as any to use the sword. Oh, but it does the 3 damage. Oh, jeez. That was as bad a time as any to use the sword. If you guys are playing along at home, you've seen the jumps in the time codes. I've only just gotten back, and I was pretty excited to get into this. But evidently I need to pay a bit more attention and get my game face on and stop playing quite as sloppily as I did. Yeah, speaking of which, let's get out of autopilot and start to pay attention. I can either play my Hammer of Might. In so doing, I take a risk of getting blown out by removal on the next turn, but I get 4 Warcries, or I can choose to go wide and not use my power as efficiently as possible. I think I'd rather use all of my power if given the choice. The shadows, the dead. Okay, so I presume that was a special ability because they didn't pay for that. And I don't really want to trade off here, so instead I think I'll just fly over the top. Ideally we'll draw a silence effect or a torch sometime soon and we can deal with him. Okay, so that's a new card from the set, is it? Snipe that we don't normally get to see. That's really not too bad though. I'm very happy that that creature's attacking. It gives me the opportunity to attack him with my pally. They'll chump block here so they can draw a card, but I get myself a Warcry, so I see that as a pretty fair deal. And I'm not playing against a human opponent, so there's no point in messing around with hiding cards. So is that a free card that I just played as well? So it looks like on turn 3 and 6 they've gotten stuff for free. It's a good draw. So if they double block there, Oh, it lets me draw a card. Oh, that's delicious. I was worried for a moment about if they were to double block here, but now I know that don't need to worry about it at all. Oh, force a habit again. I just skipped through because I assumed. So yeah, we would have had lethal up here, or at least representing lethal. Bit of a shame that I'm not quite paying as much attention as I should. I imagine that they're adhering to the standard rules of only having 4 copies of each card, and so maybe we've seen the end, like half of the Venomfang daggers. If I attack now, they're almost guaranteed to block, so that way at least I can get rid of the deadly wisp, so I can attack with my 10-9. Argument could be made because I have Recano plates in the deck that I just wait. I also have torches, I also have silence effects. And this has flying anyway. I think we just sit tight. Which guy? Ah, nice. So that will just increase the power, but mean that he doesn't get to draw a card if he turns into a 5/5. Otherwise he could turn my flyer into a 5/5 Dynamancer. Into a 5/5 Carnosaur, rather. Fortunately, we're flooding out a little bit here, which isn't helping our cause. Yeah, very much so. If we attack, what kind of combat tricks could they have? Because otherwise we'll force a double chump block. One will trade off. He'll probably trade off. I imagine being the AI, he'll probably trade off with the 5/5 rather than the 4/5 Walker-Eye, although I think it's smarter for him to trade with the 4/5 Walker-Eye. And what could they do that would make me lose my board? They could have lightning strikes, but doesn't seem like the kind of deck that they have those. Just from what we've seen so far, this all seems to be very sorcery. Yeah, let's attack in. This is for the sake of research. Okay. AI is playing a little bit smarter than what I'd assume it would. Okay, I got it for free. That's why it's not playing it at ambush speed. Come on, I need something other than power. This isn't helping my cause much at all. Thank you. What's coming? Okay, so the longer I wait, the bigger and scarier stuff becomes. What can you do when you're drawing like this? We're now on a 2-turn clock. Can't see that having much benefit for them. And if we draw a creature, it can have charge, so that could be lethal as well. But no, it looks like we're dead. We're not dead? We are very much dead. Well, what can you do? What was that, 4 or 5 turns in a row of drawing power? So it looks like this is the kind of opponent that I want to play against with decks that are fast. That have the opportunity to kill those 3/2s that let me draw a card on my turn. And I want to keep a clock up so that they can't keep getting those very powerful creatures, but it looks like it has a lot of easy ways of dealing with creatures that only have 1 toughness or 1 health. so as far as other decks that could work for that. They didn't seem to have super efficient removal. So I think the Warcry could be quite applicable here. Otherwise, just something proactive. Even the Aegis or the Time deck, I found that those have been great just for being solid and proactive decks. Yeah, let's give this Warcry deck just one more shot. I feel as though if I hadn't have flooded out like crazy, that would have been a pretty comfortable match for me. And this hand definitely won't flood out, or if it does, I've got good flood protection. Pyro Knights are maybe not at their best, but the fact that I'll be able to go into Champion of Glory, create a 3/3, start to attack in, Kano Outlaw. In this scenario, I'd rather play my Outlaw because I don't want my Champion of Glory to get Virus Sigil. Okay, so that was a free one that I missed last time and I didn't realise that they got it for nothing. Oh wow, so it does just double damage off the Entomb trigger as well. That's impressive. No, I didn't see anything like a lightning storm, so I feel as or a plague, so I feel as though it's safe to go wide. You do know what I'm going to see right here. Okay, that's not too bad. It's actually going to cause a problem for us though. That's an effective clock. Because it has Overwhelm, I'm now very happy to pump it up because I'll be getting extra damage in anyway. Oh, it does double damage. I'm just on a different planet for this matchup. I'm actually pretty happy for you to be copying that unit. Okay, so we're finally drawing out of this screw. Actually, I was about to say that it's the wrong colour, but getting to be able to finally turn our Champion of Glory on is quite helpful in this scenario. We're still, you know, ticking up our war cries. Now it's just going to pour with power. Card. Makes my life a lot harder. Oh wow, okay, and so I'm dead. That's a great little finishing line. Okay, maybe my Warcry deck isn't the way to go. All of the blockers that they played are ground based, so I think I just want to go to the skies then. Let's bring in the Aegis deck. We can still use our Inspired Hours as a combat trick if we get Pally's Oathbook on. Then we can use that to start to pump up a creature beyond what it seems like all of their removal can handle. Killer's tormented by the ghosts of your victims. Okay, so turn 2 plan is the Borderlands Waykeeper. Turn 3 into the Oathbook. Attacking with a 2/4 seems pretty good. Do I want to use the Tinker Apprentice here? No, I don't think so. And then if we draw an extra power, we could put might onto it as well. Okay, so before I was wondering whether this was just one that I played in the past. It's just representing from that particular challenge. So if I cast the Oathbook, I can attack, making it a 2/4, and then I can also cast the Tinker's Apprentice, making this a 2/4 as well. Or I could just go wide, but by going wide, I get this down a turn earlier, but this is weaker. I feel as though the Oathbook is probably the better play for me. So coming up next turn, they're going to get the 3/2s, which I can evade if I want to. It's not bad. So again, I have the choice. I can either spend all of my power here and attack in. I'd probably make that a 4/4 and attack for 6. I could make this evasive, or I could just cast the Borderlands Waykeeper and hold up the Backlash. But from what I've seen, they predominantly play spells, although I guess I could probably Backlash a Wisdom of the Elders or something like that. That allows me to just attack in. I think getting the war cries on early though is very powerful. So we'll force him into a chump block position. It's fine by me. So if I attack, they'll have to double block to block this, which I'm okay with. If I was to attack here and there's a double block here and let 4 in, then I trade off for a card. So I'm also okay with that. So yeah, I don't feel as though I need to make this evasive. Instead, we'll play the Waykeeper. But we'll wait and see what card we get first as well. And given the choice between these, I think I'd rather have the Thunderbird down. And hopefully an evasive threat like this will be just that bit too much for them to handle. I think it was still 1 turn away when we saw that 5/6 drop down. So if I attack with both, they'll double block and I get to draw a card. Am I happy exchanging my Tinker's Apprentice for that? Yeah, I think I'm fine with that. Then next turn this can attack and alone become a 6/6, which is a problem for their 5/6 ambusher. So now my final choice is, do I want to cast both of these, or do I only want to cast one and hold up Backlash? If I was to only cast one, I'd probably most likely want to cast the Thunderbird, because this... Actually, no. I can cast this and give it 4. Pay 4. I'm likely to want to attack with 1 anyway. Especially if they've played the 5/6. So I think we'll just cast 1 and keep up the Backlash. This way, if I attack with just this one, it'll still be big enough for me to be able to attack in successfully against the Spider Queen, whatever they want to call her. Okay, that's not a problem at all from my perspective. Do I want a double block here? Presumably I have some kind of trick for attacking in like that. And if I keep enough creatures alive, I'll be able to attack wide successfully, so I think we'll just let it go through. Okay, got there in the end. It's a very, very deep Nightmare Spirit. Okay, and so we get the Wrath for that. That's pretty sweet. Alright, so I feel as though these are a definite step up in difficulty. It looks as though the first series had almost disadvantages for the computer to make our life as easy as possible. This is the first time when they had serious power advantage. So we're going to have to start to pay a little bit more attention and hopefully kick into gear. Let's head on to the competition though. A bounty gets high enough, the competition crawls out of the woodwork. Maybe I should have mentioned the one on me. One little mix-up in Argenport and suddenly every skunk with sidearm fancies himself a bounty hunter. Amateurs. Oh dear. Sure. So the mission rules. If the enemy starts his turn with less than 2 armor, his armor becomes 2. Okay, so they're going to be getting plausibly 2 bonus health every time. This could be a deck that uses weapons, I imagine, being bounty hunters. Bounty hunters come with weapons. So perhaps I'm wanting some kind of effect that destroys equipment. Perhaps there's a smuggler's stash there in that. If I'm to play a hyper-aggressive deck, it's likely that the deck could stall out because he keeps gaining armor, which is effectively life in this instance, but I can keep the pressure up. And I imagine a go-wide strategy can't be too bad against a deck that wants to use weapons. That'd be my assumption anyway. Either that or some kind of control deck would be what else I'd want to think of. Let's start off with going wide with this combo deck that we used before. I think if we get a bunch of creatures on the table. Or alternatively, this sounds like the kind of opponent where you just want to build up one huge attack step against. So long as their armor is at 2, then you're fine. But yeah, now the game's put us in the position of trying to defend a criminal for capture. So they only start on 20, which is a slight solace for this. Sweet. And playing thematic cards like the Steadfast Deputy. Yeah, so basically the suggestion is you can't just chip down on damage. You need to do it in big swaths. Perhaps an armory deck of my own is probably better. It doesn't look as though he's choosing to play with weapons from what I've seen so far. Do I want to expose my Knight Chancellor this early? If they do have some kind of weapon. If they're playing Mono Justice, there isn't a weapon at 3 that they can play that I can think of. There's definitely a weapon at 4. So perhaps I save back my Knight Chancellor for as long as I can. Okay, so it's Combray rather than Mono Justice. They're going to be getting a cheap Armor Smiths, which is a real pain. Do I want to trade out here? Yeah, I think I'm happy enough trading off resources. I've I've already gotten value out of both of those beyond what they've been getting. So that means this is the kind of deck that could likely have Vanquishes. I want to ask myself how much I want to play around those. Perhaps I am better off playing something like a Knight Chancellor or Combre Healer over playing the Sandstorm Titan. The trade-off is really whether I expect them to have weapons or not. I think the safest for both of these is to play Combre Healer. It can survive a hit from a fair few different weapons that I can think of. That'll get in and I'll vanquish it next turn. Nickel and diming here doesn't seem to be the most effective strategy in the world, but we can get a wide enough board down. Okay. I'm beginning to think that I feared weapons from this opponent unduly. So they have one card in hand that they've been holding on to for a while. There is a possibility that it's a Vanquish. I feel as though I'm losing out on value the longer I leave this. What on earth is that? 8/8 endurance. You gain 2 armor at the start of the enemy turn. If you have no armor, sacrifice it. So I can get past this then by flying over the top. No worries. Well, if that's the case, we won't choose to silence this one. But yeah, interesting though that card's available. I can trade off here. That'll be a 1-for-1 trade. And especially now that they've shown that they have no cards, I feel as though that's about the best value I can hope to get. Would I rather keep my flyer or my 3/4? I think I'd rather keep my evasive unit. But that's a fortunate attack for them to make for me. And I think the Desert Marshal can plausibly hit something much scarier. Okay, my opponent's floating out, which is also great news. So if I attack him with these guys, even if they double block, I'm still going to get a 1-for-1 trade. I'm trading down a little bit considering they cast this for free, but there's no way he's going to return to being evasive, and we'll just get damage in regardless. So I think it's a very simple all-in attack. Unless they have a harsh rule, we should be perfectly fine now. Ooh, this is one of the new cards. You can play an additional power each turn, so that's... they must have had some way of trying to ramp up, I guess. Amazing I've never seen the Demolisher before. It's amazingly efficient for what it costs. Oh, that makes life extra easy. Okay. So I was entirely wrong on my guess of how that deck would be built. It didn't look like it was weapons at all. It looks as though it was just a slow drip kind of combre deck that just clogged up the ground and then had some very efficiently costed creatures to become a problem. I imagine control deck would have been fine against it. Armory deck would have been okay against it too. I think just so long as you weren't dripping in your damage, it seems like that would have been a relatively easy deck to go up against. Okay, 2 more to go for the campaign. So let's take a look at the counters. Things are heating up with the price on my head and I need to lay low for a while. Word is that the Cabal is getting in on the action. And they ain't nearly so fussy about taking their targets alive. It's time for a chat. So the Countess plays a Knife Jack at the start of each turn. Wow. So they're going to be getting a whole bunch of units down, what's the best way of dealing with that? First of all, if they're playing the Knife Jacks, they're going to be doing damage to themselves every single turn. So I can work on the assumption that by turn 5, they're only going to be on 15 health. Which makes me think a burn strategy is probably best. Just go straight for the face, not worry too much about the board state. I could get in trouble if they get too many creatures down that I can't deal with, but if I get some chump blockers down or some efficient units down, then I think I should be fine. So we showed it before. I was hoping to show a couple of different decks, but actually I can adjust this Queen Burn a little bit as well. The one thing I have currently in the Queen Burn are the Queens, hence the name of the Queen Burn. But I think what I'd rather do is get rid of those for this particular matchup. And instead, we'll add in... where are they? I think they cost 5 from memory. Some Umbrum Reapers, just as another form of final bit of reach that I can hit them with. Suffocate is an effective form of removal, but perhaps what I can use instead, now that I know that they're going to be having constant targets for me. I only see these in limited. Let's add in some piercing shots, and that way I can keep killing their unit that I know I'm guaranteed to have a target for, and keep just getting that extra damage in. And so this way I got Granite Drones as reasonable blockers. The only Ronins and the Pyro Knights are slightly underwhelming in this particular matchup, so perhaps I could consider adjusting them. I've then got the Rapid Shots, which I don't want too many of, but I've got Torch, Argent Port as an efficient blocker. And then I just go up the usual line with Burn. Is there anything else that I'd prefer to play instead of these X ones? Yeah, I think there is. Okay, so instead of the Annie Ronins, let's drop in some of these ticking Granadins so I can try and get as much damage done to them as possible. I have currently only 3 Granadin drones. I think I'd rather have a 4th. I could even be tempted to put in a Forge Wolf, but it doesn't block. Actually, that's also a problem with the ticking Granadins, although they're just another form of direct burn. That's all that I really want here. Is there anything good and cheap for me over here? Not really. None of these I care about too much. Maybe the Slumbering Stone could be useful. I think it's probably getting a bit cute. So instead, what's the basic game plan? The game plan is to have chump blockers or dudes who do 3 damage to them. All of this is working on the assumption that if they're taking 2 damage a turn, by the end of turn 5, they should be on 15, assuming that the Countess doesn't have a lot of life gain. And if they're on 15, then the ticking Granadins could plausibly get them down to 9. We'll have the piercing shots and then just the normal amount of burn. And I think that should do it. It might even be an argument made just for making mono red burn. But let's see how the Queen burn goes for this. The Queenless Queen burn. Cabal burn, I guess you can call it. Of course, if because she plays them at the start of a turn and doesn't pay for them, and so they don't have the usual cost of doing 2 damage, then I could be in trouble. It's not the best hand, but if If I draw any kind of decent creature, I'm okay. I can deal with their first couple. So by turn 3, they'll have taken 6 damage from their guys, plus another 4 is 10. I think I can do quite a bit better than this hand. I really want to see Champion of Chaos, something like that. Jekk, darling, you shouldn't have come here. You know how I hate to get blood on the floor. They have quite an intimate relationship for a member of the Cabal and a bounty hunter. Do I want to hold up a torch? No, I probably don't, because next turn I'm just going to piercing shot whatever she plays. Sweet. So these knife jacks do the damage to her. So pretty. I love the premium Champion of Chaos. I think it's one of my favorite premium cards. Well, we have a plan and we're going to stick to it. You're outnumbered, dear. What's to stop me from... That's not what a semicolon is used for. I'm sorry. I'm being an English teacher. If you want to use a semicolon, it's somewhere between a full stop and a comma, as in you want a temporary pause, but not an exceptionally long one. And so generally they have to be related concepts. You're outnumbered, and what are you going to do to stop me? Alrighty, so... we could play our Argent-Board Instigator, we could attack here if they double block, use a torch to kill one and then kill the other. Or we could just play it a little bit slower and play the Champion of Chaos and stay on with the torch plan. We then have a slightly bigger creature to attack on the next turn. No, I think I like trying to get some extra ping damage in. Okay, that's not the end of the world at all. I kind of like thematically, so these knife jacks are like her guards running in to try and help out on everything, hey? Do I want to get the extra value whilst I can? Yeah. I think I do. So is the counters playing exclusively shadow cards? That's a great draw for us. Allows us to slow down this damage. Most impressive. What did you want to discuss? Safe passage and keeping others off my trail. I can pay ya. I'm not a grammar Nazi. I promise you I am not. But this just hurts. It's really unfortunate we haven't drawn this extra piece of power. I would love to have the opportunity to attack in, and I don't want to trade these off until they have Overwhelm. So we're just going to cast the Instigator and sit back and ideally let her kill herself. That hurt. That definitely hurt. Okay, that's excellent news. So now, if we attack in and they double block on each, this one will die, giving this -2/-2, but I'll do 4 damage, bring it down to 6. And that basically means that this is lethal. Oh, actually even better, if I attack with everybody, then they'll go down to 4. This is lethal. Sweet. So they were... Oh, it's got deadly. Oh, even better. That was silly. Yes, accepting on one's deathbed. Dear, I don't think my English teacher has ever come out so much while playing a computer game. I like this card. I'm looking forward to being able to mess around with it. I don't know if it's got a homing constructed. Infiltrate requires a lot of hoops to be jumped through, but geez, I like the card. Okay, so we are finally there. The last round for Jekk's bounty. This is just business. So that's how it is. You think you're going to be the one who takes me in, huh? Can't say... didn't he just get free passage and protection? Or was it because she died she didn't get to keep it out? Anyway, you think you're going to be the guy who takes me in, huh? Can't say I blame you for trying. You'd be living high in Argenport whilst I rot in one of Roland's cells. There's just one problem. I'm not going anywhere. That only needs to be a comma. Okay. Watch out. Jekk fights dirty. What does that mean? I have no idea. What do we want to run? Well, I think the only deck that I haven't really run through that is a bit of fun is some kind of weapon control deck. So I think we'll run that and just see how it works out. And then once we get a slightly, an armory deck, of course. And once we get a slightly better idea of what's going on, we might be able to build around it. Just business. Watch out, Jekk fights dirty. Okay. Whatever that means. Totally unkeepable hand. This is a slightly outdated armory. Okay, so he starts off with a relic weapon, so ideally I want to start to include creatures that can deal. When this attacks, it's got Warcry. Wow, so I want to be able to deal with this as soon as possible ordinarily. This is entirely not the build then, and I should have done that the other way. I should have played my Seed of Vengeance first, and so I could play the Inspire on turn 2. But I was too busy feeling a bit overwhelmed at what I need to deal with this. The reason why I wanted to do the other way was I could have used my Inspire first. Okay, so viciously aggressive. Annihilate seem rubbish here if he's going to be running a whole bunch of Fearless Nomads. This hurts, but I need to get him off the table. So this is basically just a hyper-aggressive Rakano Warcry deck, is it? Okay, so... I still don't have quite enough to hemorrhage the bleeding. I can kill this. I'll wait until their turn because it's a fast spell and I have a chance of catching them when they put a weapon on it. So that means I can use 1 power this turn because this won't work quite yet for me. If that's the case, I need to work out. I think I don't need any other particular colours, but if there is one that I need that I'm not aware of, it would be Triple Justice. So we'll take that, we'll wait, and we'll hope that we can deal with this Valkyrie Enforcer, and that they're really greedy and put a piece of equipment on it. Okay, so choice time. I can either play the Throne Warden, the Statutory Maiden. I can play all of these, but I'm not really thinking about the Rise to Challenge the Hearth rule. We just need to deal with this Revolver as quickly as possible. I think I like the idea of having the most resilient threat. It also gains me some armor, which is the equivalent of health, which is useful because, you know, I've been getting smashed here, really. Okay, so they got piercing shots, which means that playing cheap creatures isn't the best plan in the world. That's good that I can start to get that down. So, Do I want to rise for the challenge now, or continue developing with the Statutory Maiden? There's absolutely no benefit to playing the Statutory Maiden right now, so I think we're going to rise. Knowing that I'll be able to get to 6 power, I need to work out what I want. So I could take a Carrier the Liberator and hope that I draw more power. I could take the Stone Skull Maul and hope on the same thing. The Auric Rune Hammer would allow me... Actually, I think the Die Show is probably best, hey? 6 damage twice a turn. If they don't have a unit, I'm in a good spot. If it's you or me, kid, it's going to be you. Yep, I can respect that. I'm not going to let it happen, but I can respect that you think that. Okay, so we've dealt with 11. I wonder if he has ways of bringing it back that are disgusting and problematic. Fortunately, if he can't do something... Alright, no more fighting fair. So that's what the trigger that he gets. Okay, so perhaps that's what happens when he loses the revolver. Doesn't matter though, does it? We just harsh rule, kill a lot, attack him for 12. Is it really that simple? Yeah, because they came in that turn, so they can't attack. That kind of feels as though it shouldn't quite be that simple. Okay. I was kind of half expecting, just because that played out so easily, that, you know, like Final Fantasy or Diablo 3, where it's like, no, you've killed my small form, now for my ultimate form. And, you know, he comes out bigger with 30 health or something. But no, that was it. I felt, a little bit anticlimactic. Especially considering I found the Walking Nightmare so tricky. And just, yeah, picked a stock deck to see how it go, and that won just business. Alrighty then, why not? What do I think of the campaign overall? If I would have had 2 or 3 more attempts on that actual just business, I think I would have quite enjoyed it. I feel as though they did a good job of showing off the new cards. The campaign seemed to be thematically appropriate. There were definitely some fun ones. I particularly enjoyed the one that was the Doran style. Sorry, that's a Magic reference. The one where the power rocks up equal to the health. Just slightly different. Deck building, you really needed to think through. And I think the other one that I quite enjoyed was the other one that really necessitated a different deck, and you couldn't just play a powerful stock deck. Being the one that they played a time sigil every turn, and so really incentivized you to play around with all of the Empower cards, of which there's 2 or 3 that, you know, are the headline acts. But you got to play with all of them, and that was quite sweet. The sound design was amazing. Hats off to whoever did that. The copy though, oh man, grammar dudes. Yeah, sorry. That got to me. Normally things don't get to me, so that says a lot. If that was my year 11 or year 12 creative writing, I would have been getting out the red pen. I'll say that much. Sometimes people want to use fancy grammar because they've learnt and they can, but grammar's meant to be designed for ease of comprehension for your audience, and that wasn't what was happening here at all. Particularly, yeah. Anyway, I think that's a rant that you guys in my audience are probably less interested in than I am. I don't know how many English teachers also happen to play Eternal. I think this is much more for the mathematically inclined, those who enjoy stats and probability a bit more than Austin and cinema. But anyway, I might be well typecasting you guys, and if so, I do apologize. Beyond that, I think we had a chance to see the new cards played out well. I feel as though the missions each had the theme of what the new card wants to do, and personally I'm pretty stoked to see what these new cards are and what they can do. Probably more stoked than you guys are just to see the same screen over and over again. It will be nice to have a mess around. I'm particularly excited about putting together this dinosaur theme deck. And the other thing I'm most excited about doing is running a budget version of these missions. I'm going to see what I can brew up that doesn't use expensive cards at all. So that if you are new to the game, you can watch the series, and if you're particularly stumped, we can help out a bit. Because, you know, pick one, pack one, that's what we're all about. Helping people get better, including myself. Definitely have plenty of room to grow, especially when I'm playing tired like I have been today. Anyway, folks, we'll leave it there. I hope you've enjoyed the series. I've enjoyed making it for you. And if you have any comments, criticisms, compliments, what have you, feel free to leave them in the comments. Feel free also to like, subscribe, etc., etc. Until then, I've been Kozzi. Thank you for taking some time out of your day to watch these videos. I recognize that they run a bit longer than normal. And that's not necessarily because I've been a little bit more verbose, it's just quite a few more games. And yeah, thank you for supporting the channel. I do appreciate it. I really appreciate seeing you guys' engagement, positive and or negative. And so yeah, I look forward to seeing you in our next few videos. Until then, as always, have a good one, guys, and I'll see you sometime soon.